I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hey! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 355th episode of the Political Spotlight, and I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. If you are here live, then you are amazing. You are awesome. If you're here on replay, repeat, whatever you want to call it, you are amazing and you are awesome. If you're just here, it does not matter. We love it. We love it. We love it. Thank you for giving us a little bit of your time whenever that may be. If you are watching this live, we are coming to you from Sunday evening, December 22nd. For all of you people out there currently suffering from seasonal affective disorder, huzzah! Today, from now, today, until around the 21st of June, our days will start getting longer. That is truly a Christmas miracle. Man, I tell you what, I am so happy. Yesterday, Saturday, the 21st of December, or cut out the yesterday for those of you in the future, Saturday, December 21st, was the shortest day of the year, and it's all uphill from here. That's normally bad, but going downhill also sounds bad. So it's all sunshine from here. It's all sausages and rainbows, or whatever I used to say. Flowers and sausages. All right. Hey, so I've got a show. I've got a show, a really big show. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a really big show. I've got a pretty good thing in store for you. However, as I was just driving back to the studio, I was at an undisclosed location south of my home. Other than that, that's for me to know. And as I was driving here, I got a little boop, 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 beep on my phone. And I was at a stoplight rather. I was at a red light. And I quickly thumbed through to see what that noise was. And it was a noise on the second Facebook page. So when I say the second Facebook page, for those of you that are not familiar, we have two Facebook pages. The main page, which is facebook.com/Bilbrey318. That's where you're going to get primarily your stuff right away. And then the second page is Political Spotlight. Now, If you want to follow us on all of our socials, there you go. If you go there and follow each one of those things, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, you will never miss anything. Okay. And then the secret ones of you know the other Facebook page, which is Bilbrey 318, which is truly the main page, but I don't put that on things. Anyways, see, it's backwards. Somebody had sent me a message to the Political Spotlight 318 page. And all it said was, this looks a little concerning. And I didn't truly get to see it until I got home, because at that moment the light turned green. And as you all know, I certainly do not break the law. I never text and drive. I never mess with my phone. My hands are always 10 and 2, seatbelt on, never intoxicated, and always head straight away on a swivel. All right. Well, here's the deal. I got home, and as I pulled in the driveway, I looked at that message more in detail, and I thought, oh, God, skirt. And I thought, because I already had the show planned out, we're still going to talk about what I have. The show's titled Ridenour's Reputation. Ridenour's Reputation. And I didn't bother with putting the thumbnail in the overlays because it's bothersome. I don't like looking at it. It's just a bunch of Ridenour's head and then one of Dustin Clark for a reason. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but I just have to talk really quickly here at the front about this message I got. Before I do so, as always, I want to ask that you do the things that you're supposed to do when you're watching a program such as this on social media in the evenings or in the mornings or in the noon times, whenever you're watching. And that is click the thumb and push the buttons, share the shares, do what you need to do so that we can get promoted out there in the wild world of algorithms. Beep the boops and bop the troops and do all that stuff. Ridenour doesn't have a reputation. Where did you get that misinformation from? Yeah, right. So, hit the bell. Tell us to go to hell. Hit that thumb. Give us the finger. Share the show. And here we go. All right. So, one of you out there, I don't know if this guy's a frequent listener. I don't know if that guy's a frequent listener. I know he listens every now and then, but I know he follows along with social media, and I know he talks to people that listen. He shared, so you know what time it is? The 100 and... Are we on the 24th? Are we on the 124th General Assembly? 100, and let's see here. Indiana General Assembly. Because the Indiana General Assembly for this upcoming term is getting ready to start here in just a real short time. And so that means they are already working on putting together their bills and things. And it's really interesting. You can kind of tell what's on people's minds, you know, if you start looking. The the General Assembly, the Senate, will reconvene on Wednesday, January 8th. So the House will too. But the Senate and the House will reconvene. And yes, this will be the 124th Indiana General Assembly. Well, they are already in the way of putting forward bills. Now, the Senate doesn't have anything yet, but the House already has let's see how many total. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Are they all in order? Yeah, so it looks like they've already put together 77 bills. See, this is what's wrong with government. Instead of all of these idiots getting together and putting forward all of these shit bills that won't go anywhere, they could really just slow their horses and write some good bills that actually would matter, and it would actually help the citizens. So this 29th bill that's been put together for the Hoosiers out here to help those of us in the Hoosier state. It's been authored by Representative Michelle Davis. Now, there's a co-author. We'll talk about that in a moment. But it's been authored by Michelle Davis. And I'm going to show it to you. But before I do, I'm going to read it to you. And I just want you to listen to the words as I say it. All right. House Bill 1029. And the title is Closed Primaries. All right. Michelle Davis has authored this bill. House Bill 1029 provides that a voter, that's you and me, may vote at a primary election, one, only if the voter has properly and timely affiliated with a political party, and two, held by the party with which the voter affiliates, allows an individual not later than December 31st before the date of a primary election to affiliate with a political party at the time of voter registration or by submitting a party affiliation form, requires each county voter registration office to mail a party affiliation form to particular voters not later than September 1st, 2025, specifies a notice that must be sent to certain voters who register to vote but do not list political affiliation, makes conforming amendments. Okay, so listen, there's only a few words there. There's not many words there, but they're really weird and strange words.
Wait a second. Didn't they just go through this whole big thing of saying you had to vote in 2 primaries to be part of a party?
No. You're see trickery. That is, they're screwing with people who want to run for office. Now, this is screwing with people who just want to vote. So this has got nothing to do with the people. This has got nothing to do with the people that are trying to run for office. And listen, there are a lot of people that are party loyalists that would do this. But then there are a whole lot of other people that are not hardcore Republicans or hardcore Democrats, and they go vote because they're voting on what moves them to vote. And so someone who's like, well, last time I went and polled a Democrat, but there's a really strong Republican, I want to, they're not wanting to do this. What they're doing is they're making the primaries harder on individuals where we already don't have people that vote to begin with. So first of all, they're making it harder, and it's just more gatekeeping. So listen. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Well, first of all, so it's authored by what?
Thank you.
It's authored by Michelle Davis, and it's co-authored by Representative J.D. Prescott. Now, J.D. Prescott, who in his surveys over the last couple of years, his surveys here, there we got him on screen. There's Prescott Kitty. And here's his surveys. Okay, one of them is Prescott. One of them is Brad Barrett. I'm getting ready to fill both of these out. I'm going to let them know exactly what I think. I'm collecting these, mind you. If anyone has these and wants me to fill theirs out, let me know. I'll pick these up. You can I'll tell you how to send them to me, because I have a lot of things I'm going to tell a bunch of these people. But normally when Prescott sends these out, people tell him throughout his district, we want you to do something about straight party voting. We want you to do something about term limits. Nobody ever sends him a message and says, hey, can you make voting more difficult? Can you make voting more difficult? Now, when I saw this bill, I was like, I really want to talk about this, but I also have this other show, Ridenour's Reputation, planned. But it really goes hand in hand. Okay. So we're getting ready to get to the Ridenour's Reputation part, but I have to talk about this deal. It's really, 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 really frustrating that I started talking about this. Brandon and Kate and I started talking about this 2 years ago. I mean, really, it's all we ever talk about, but we really started talking about 2 years ago about how it feels as if the folks, really in 2020, after 2020, when it felt as if the Indiana General Assembly started going to Indy and coming up with all of these confounded bills that are nonsense, but their only design is to protect the people who are currently in elected office. So there are bills like 1838 and 1133 and this nonsensical bill. Now, I can only hope that this doesn't go anywhere, and I'm going to send Michelle, what's her name, Michelle Davis, a scathing email as soon as I get off this show. But I'm also going to send Prescott a couple different messages through text and email. And we're going to talk about that. But this is real concerning. Now, I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see this, and I just want to make sure you're aware of what we're talking about. This only really affects the people who are in Indiana. So if you're watching from elsewhere, this doesn't really affect you. But this is for the people in Indiana. This is House Bill 1029, closed primaries, Representative Michelle Davis and J.D. Prescott, provides that a voter may vote at a primary election only if the voter has properly and timely affiliated with a political party, and if they're held by the political party with which the voter affiliates. So what that scares me, because what this seems like to me is, number one, if the voter has properly and timely affiliated. So let's say, for example, Kristopher Bilbrey wants to vote Republican at the next primary in May of 2026. And I do everything that this law tells me to do. I run down and I get my paperwork and I say, yes, please, sir, here, look, I'm a good Republican, and I fill out all the paperwork and I turn it in. And now I've done everything in a timely manner. What happens when we get to the second part where it says, and held by the political party with which the voter affiliates? Now, I'm not an attorney, and I'm certainly not as smart as J.D. Prescott, but that looks like the political party has to accept me. So it almost seems like I could go apply to be a member of the party and to vote in the party, and the party could say, no, we do not hold this individual to be a Republican in good standing.
No, I just think they're talking about that the Republican primary, the Democrat primary. I don't think they're saying they can that. I don't think that wording means that.
Well,
But it also means that as a Republican, I can't walk in and
what does that mean?
Go to a Democrat every time if I want to switch.
Wait a minute. Provides that a voter may vote at a primary election only if the voter has properly and timely affiliated with a political party and held by the political party with which that voter affiliates. Okay, so
I just think it's talking about the Democrat.
All right, okay, I see. All right.
My dog is losing its mind.
Okay.
I think you need to open up his freaking survey on here and go through it with us.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can definitely do that. So, but again, listen, this is bothersome to me because I don't know why. Because listen, most people are not going to go through that trouble to do that. Most people are going to say, listen, I'm not a Republican. I'm not doing this. I'm going to live a life not bothered or tied down to this, and I'm just going to wait until the election rolls around and I'm going to find out who I want to vote for. And like you just said, if they decide at that point they want now listen, what this does is this stops people from being able to maliciously cross lines to hurt someone. It would stop what just happened to, for example, Ryan Webb, where a bunch of Democrats in Delaware County jumped over and pulled a Republican ballot. So, I get what it means, but look, that's politics, man. That's how the cookie crumbles. You've got to be willing to get out and fight and make sure that you've got enough votes to overcome that. I don't like this. They don't get to decide. This is them basically, this is the rabbit hole for them deciding, we're just going to tell you who to vote for. We're narrowing and narrowing
Well,
until.
And not only that, the date bothers me too.
Yeah, right.
Not later than December 31st for the May primary. Yeah. Why isn't it the same cutoff date as voter registration is 1 month prior?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is
ridiculous.
Yeah. The people aren't even the people. So for example, okay, let's imagine that this was in place during the most recent municipal election. So in 2023, okay? So people would have had to have went and said, all right, I want to be a Republican, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on December 22nd. I'm going to go down to the clerk's office and I'm going to tell them I want to be a Republican. I'm going to do it. I'm going to sign it. They are deciding what precinct they're going to vote in before any of the candidates have even filed for the office. So what happens when you do that? And then, your very best friend that you've known all your life decides he's going to run as a Democrat on the Democrat ticket. The date to this thing does not make sense, but moreover, them telling us this has got to be voted down. I hope this I hope that this is not looked at. I hope that this does not make it to committee. This is nonsense behavior. This is an attempt to gatekeep, and this is just not a good thing. This is not a good thing whatsoever. So there's our first bill that I'm taking issue with. And I'm going to ask you all, please, 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 to send out information to your elected representatives and go through the process of telling your elected state reps and elected senators that you want no part of this and you expect them to vote no. So we will be looking at all of that, and I will be giving you the information. We've still got a little bit of time, so it's nothing like we can get through Christmas, and then before we get to the new year, we'll be talking about this like next week. But I'll be giving you the information that you need to send your people emails and things like that, because we need to definitely be stopping this. So we'll be looking at that. Now, really, really quickly, I want to take a look at any of these other bills that we need to look at here real quick. Okay. Wow. House Bill 1011, authored by Matt Pierce, allows individuals with terminal illness who meet certain requirements to make a request to an attending provider for medication that an individual may self-administer to bring about death. Specifies requirements a provider must meet in order to prescribe the medication to a patient, prohibits an insurer from denying payment of benefits under a life insurance policy based upon suicide clause in the life insurance policy if the death of an insured individual is the result of a medical aid in dying, establishes a level 1 felony if a person without authorization of the patient willfully alters, forges, or conceals or destroys a request for medication or a rescission of the request for medication with the intent to effect of causing the individual's death, or knowingly or intentionally coerces or exerts under influence on an individual to request a medication to bring about death, or to destroy the rescission of a request of medication to bring about death. Establishes a Class A misdemeanor if a person without authorization of the patient willfully alters, forges, or conceals or destroys a request for medication or rescission of request. That's interesting. Let's see here. Designation of state nickname. I mean, listen to me. And this, ladies, again, this is House Bill 1013, and this is J.D. Prescott. For the life of me, I do not understand what his deal is. Provides that the Hoosier State is designated as the official nickname of Indiana. Provides that designation is to recognize and memorialize the legacy of Harry Hoosier. Makes certain findings in recognizing Harry Hoosier as the namesake of the Hoosier State. Oh, God, what a... Okay. Let's see. You know what I'm not seeing so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've so far, within the first 15, I've not seen anything about property taxes. Interesting.
Keep going.
How far down are we?
1028.
Oh, yep. I see it. Okay, Heath Van Natter. Freezes an individual's property tax liability attributable to the individual's homestead based on the date on which the individual acquired an ownership interest in the homestead.
Well, that would be good. It's locked in at the price you bought it at.
Okay.
There's another one on here, though. Oh, 1075.
Marijuana advertising. There's a bill against hating Jews. That's
okay,
but hate is in the heart. I don't know how you can stop someone from hating somebody. I want to not be hated. Okay.
Bill did not hate Bilbrey.
Oh, hold on. Controlled substances. Let's see what this is before we get down there. Okay. That's interesting. So they are trying to...
They can hear you.
Are you talking to me? Oh.
No, I have a kid.
No, you're fine. Okay, so... That's interesting. All right. We're almost down to the other one you said.
Yeah, 1075. Sorry for continuing to bounce in and out. I apologize for that. Everyone.
I didn't know you were out. Cancer Clinical Prior Public Works Project. Ooh, let's see what this is. Hold on.
Oh.
And provides it a Board of Aviation Commissioners and an airport authority.
He's in the rabbit hole now, everyone. Just hold on to your pants.
Yeah, we're at 66. We're almost done. Domestic violence investigations. Let's see that. Ooh, something about martial arts. We're going to come back to that. Requires law enforcement agency to use domestic violence risk assessment when responding. Okay. Martial arts permits the Gaming Commission to regulate bare knuckle fighting. Firearms financial transactions. Amends the Indiana Code chapter concerning the privacy of firearms financial transactions as follows. Amends the definition of firearm to specify a firearm component includes castings, product uses. Okay. And then here we go. Property taxes, and this is Craig Haggard, provides that for assessments beginning in 2026, the assessed value of a homestead property shall not be subject to an annual adjustments trending, but instead shall be determined based on the assessed value of the homestead on January 1st, 2025. Assessment date, the assessed value of the homestead on the first assessment date that it becomes homestead property. If it was not a homestead on January 1, 2025, assessment date or the sales price of a fair market value of the homestead if there is a chance of ownership after January 1st, 2025, increase the amount of the assessed value deduction for disabled veterans, phases in the increase over 5 years from $24,960 under current law to $50,000 for assessment beginning in 2030, provides for a 5-year phase in of a 100% property tax credit for property tax liability imposed on the homestead of an individual who is or will be at least 65 years of age on or before December 31st of the calendar year immediately preceding the current calendar year in which the individual's property taxes are first due and payable. Specifies beginning with property tax first due and payable in 2026, the annual amounts of the phased-in property tax credit for such individuals' homestead makes conforming changes. Okay, that's going to take a couple different reads. And then Okay, basically that's all we have so far. That will increase, and we'll see what goes on there. It'll be interesting to see what the Senate does. The Senate's not got anything put up there so far. We will be looking at all of this. We'll see what's going on here. This is really strange. That there wasn't something. I don't know. It's very interesting to me that there wasn't something. I mean, there was nothing. I didn't see anything in there from JD or from anyone that made it look like they were doing anything with Braun's plan. JD didn't have a tax plan in there, kind of like JD and the Boy Wonder and Rob Kendall. Listen, they all told us that the plan that JD was pushing wasn't going to be in there. So, it's like it wasn't going to be there. That's hilarious to me. And it's not there. So there you go. Very, very strange. Well, we'll keep following that, and we'll have Brandon come on here in the next couple of maybe after Christmas. We'll have Brandon on and talk with him. This House Bill 1029, that's a stinker. Definitely going to be following that, watching that, and see where that goes.
I think we need to have like a once a week thing where we're going over legislation that these idiots are trying to shove down our throats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, we were finding out about them like a week before they voted on them. Mm-hmm. I think this year we need to be a little bit more on the ball. Mm-hmm. We don't have an election this year.
Yeah. So we
can really give them hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, we need to talk with Brandon and see if we can't carve out a night where he can come on once a week, and we can figure that out. Yeah, right. I'm seeing Snubblefoot's comments about the date of the name. I don't know. Blows me away. Okay, so that's that. I'm not going to go through the survey this evening. I will do the surveys with you guys. I think that'll be a good thing to do with Brandon. So I'm going to talk to him. I'm saving these. I think he's going to want to go through his as well. I tried calling him before I went on, but we do need to move on to the Ridenour stuff, but we will do that together. I promise you. And listen, this all ties in, and I'll tie it back here in a minute. And we are going to also tie this into what happened to Craig Hendry here in a minute. I'll let you guys hear some of that. I know we talked about that the other day, and I definitely want to get to that. But so, listen, last week was a crazy week. Hello there, Cheryl. Time gets away from us all. That's not a big deal. I understand. It's just now getting interesting. So here's the deal. Last week was a really crazy week. Even more so specifically if you were Ridenour. Listen, I want you guys to think about this. So last week he had one of his, let me pause. Let me put a pin in that. If you live in Muncie, and if you've paid any amount of attention to what goes on politically, and you have paid any amount of attention to Dan Ridenour, you know that one of Dan's biggest things, now he didn't run on this early on, really, but one of his biggest things that he cares about are the Muncie parks. Now, yes, I'm happy for that. That's good. We need good parks. It all kind of goes together. If we have good parks, we have places where families can take their children, where older kids can kind of go and hang out, play basketball, maybe, not be on drugs or in gangs. And, it just helps provide a place where all of our citizens can kind of go and enjoy a nice day in the community. You can go and walk and exercise and run and play tennis. And, we're going to have a skateboard park, and we've got Prairie Creek Reservoir. We've got some really nice parks where for such a long time, Muncie's parks had kind of a negative connotation, to drugs and gang activity. And I say gang activity like lightly, jokingly, because we don't have gangs here. We have wannabes here, but, okay, getting onto it. There was just a lot of bad connotation with the parks. And I do think that that's been turned around somewhat. And I will give Ridenour some credit for that. Some credit goes to Tyler for that. And some credit goes to the police departments for that. Maybe some credit goes to parents. Some credit goes to the schools. There's a whole big reason why things like that, have taken an upswing. Ridenour does get some credit for that. So when we're talking about a program director for the parks, listen, in my opinion, I've always said, and I will always say, that George Foley was nothing more than Malone's second hand. Malone was the left hand. Foley was the right hand. Foley was the left hand. Left hand. Malone was the right hand. Whatever. They basically did the same job, because Carl does not like working hard, and Carl needs people to do the work that he doesn't want to do. And so they called him the program director, and the job was kind of forced in. It was a really weird deal. You can go back and watch all my commentary about that, but that was a really, really strange deal, the way that he was forced in. And then there have been all these problems with him, and it's strange that, to me, for Ridenour to lose his program director in the Parks Department, that seems like that would be a big deal. And that happened last week. And it was a very questionable thing. I know for a fact, and this is going to surprise a lot of you, I know for a fact that back when George Foley was on leave the first time, Richard Ivey, as the deputy mayor, wanted to fire him, wanted to get rid of him, wanted to not bring him back, and wanted to say, okay, thank you for your time here. You don't work here any longer. And Dan went against Ivey's wishes and said, no, everything's okay. And they brought him back. And then Ridenour, as the mayor of Muncie, the man that promised to improve communications, the man that promised to improve transparency, the man that promised to improve accountability, slow government down, improve relationships between the city and the county, and to put the best people in place, well, he didn't do that. He lied to us by saying, oh, everything's okay here. Everything is okay here. Then I find out, no, everything wasn't okay. George Foley didn't end up being a criminal the first time, not because he wasn't doing criminal behavior, but because he was doing the criminal behavior in such a way that the controls in the city government stopped him. It stopped him from what he was doing. So it's like if someone is about to burgle your house to tie you up and do things to you, or to steal your jewelry, or to steal your money, and they break into your house and they walk throughout your house, but then your big ass German Shepherd scares their house back out the window and they run away. We don't be like, oh, that's okay. You know, our controls stopped you from raping me, Mr. Bad Guy. But since you stopped, everything's okay. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't work that way. So they kept him on anyways. And I heard that Ivy was mad. Well, now this happens, and I'm starting to hear more about what happened. I'm thinking it's maybe even more than what I originally heard. So just you have to keep everything together. And I'm not going to, I told you what I had heard it was. And I kind of, went softly around it, but I'm going to wait to a little bit more to ferret this out. But I'm going to say this, if it's even remotely like what I'm hearing, it's going to be a big deal. If it's like what I've heard, I fully expect a warrant will be issued for Foley's arrest. He'll either turn himself in or they'll pick him up. He'll be arrested, and I fully expect him to be charged. So that's where we are with it. So it's a good thing that Ridenour fired him Friday. And this isn't on Dan. It's not Dan's fault that he had a bad apple. It's on Dan that he had a bad apple that did something after there was already evidence of him attempting to do something bad the first time. It's Ridenour not realizing when he needs to say enough, when he needs to come clean with something. And look, here we are, December 22nd. Okay? The city of Muncie is going to be like at a skeleton crew all this week. So, Ridenour and or people from his administration might be in tomorrow for a little bit. And then they might be in for a little bit on Tuesday, but probably not. We might see them in tomorrow for a couple of hours. Then they're basically going to be gone Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We might see some people in Thursday, maybe not. Maybe Friday, maybe probably not. Then they'll be off on the weekend, and then we might see somebody in on Monday, and then they'll be gone Tuesday, they'll be gone Wednesday, and they might come in Thursday and Friday, but probably not. So my thing is, how long are we going to go until a press release is put out about this? Look, if you don't want to give his name, if you want to protect him, if you want to do whatever it is that Ridenour thinks he's doing, for whatever reason, by all means. But the fact that you've not said, hello, the city of Muncie terminated an individual that we first put off on paid leave, but after 2 days, it became apparent that, there were issues here, and we terminated this individual, and we won't be making any further statement on this until the end of the police investigation. I would be satisfied with that. But here, Dan has not said word one about this. We've not got word one from Dan. We've not got anything from the communications director. And now, granted, in this situation, this is not something that the communications director could or would just put out without Dan's approval. There are some things that Amber would just put out, and there are some situations that fall back on her. and I have no problem calling her ass out when it needs to be. In this situation, this is the shit rolls uphill in politics. This is on Dan, and Dan does not like to communicate. He does not like to be transparent. And I was thinking about that because there's this really weird thing that goes on where when you talk to Dan, Dan's like, I'm a conservative. I'm really probably a libertarian, and I believe in little government and complete transparency. And people like Matt Kantz in the county government, the county council, him and Dan are real good friends, and he believes that he's someone that's really doing a good job, of fixing things and making things better with his presence. And he also struggles with communication and transparency. And it's just so strange why these men from the Republicans who've seen how bad things have been in Muncie and Delaware County for so long have ran on specifically, strictly improving communication and transparency and accountability. And then they get in, and not only are they not fixing it, but they're worse. They're worse off. Okay. Dan tells too many fairy tales. That's exactly right. Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. It's really interesting because both of these people, and a lot of these people currently involved with local and state government, are corporate-minded people. Okay, they're corporate, big world people, big bank, big law firm, big tech, big security, big sales. It's not like, my dad was the owner, the owner operator, president, head of a multi-million-dollar company that had been around for 110 years, Muncie Tin Awning. But my dad didn't think like these people. And small business type folks don't think like these people. Ryan Webb does not think like these people. Ryan Webb has questions. He thinks citizens have questions. He's going to ask questions. These other people, Matt Kantz, he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings on the record. Dan doesn't want to put too much information out there because too much information is not good for people. It's because they have this corporate type of thinking. And now we've got these corporate people in government service. And so often corporate people in government service don't mix well. They certainly don't mix with the open government laws, with the sunshine laws. Corporate people do not mix with open door policy, with Public Record Request Act. They just simply, that blows their mind. Dan hates the thought and the idea that literally 99% of everything in his office, I should be able and can call or email and request, and they have to give it to me. They might play some games for a while, but in the end, they have to give it to me. They just don't understand this. They hate it. They have a problem with the idea of complete transparency. Corporate folks believe in strong controls over information. They aren't burdened by the requirements of complete transparency. When Dan was whatever he was at the bank, Dan had information that was handed down to him from his supervisors, and he had information that he knew that the people below him did not know, and there were things that he would tell those people, and there were things that he would not tell those people, and that was just how it worked. And if you didn't like it, you went elsewhere, and if the customer doesn't like it, they go elsewhere, but they don't get to know everything. Then they bring that acquired belief in information control with them as public servants into the city councils, the mayor's office, the state legislature. town councils, county commissioners, and they never really truly get comfortable with the requirement of such openness. Okay, they just have a problem with it. And I'm telling you, I have listened to Dan before. I said it the other day. Dan says, I hate when people assume. And I've said to Dan directly, face to face, standing outside of City Hall, and I've said, well, okay, what do you think that you can do? What's your role in stopping people from assuming? And he said, he literally looked at me and said, I don't know. I can't help it if you assume or not. I said, you certainly can. You have information that if you actually released the truthful information, there is no assumption. Listen, if Dan comes out and says, look, we screwed up. I backdated Dustin Clark's account. That's when we first started contract. That's when we first started talking about this. And I didn't even think about it. That was my mistake. Then he takes away all my power. But he doesn't do that. He sits quietly. He acts like it's all a game. It's a big mysterious thing. And then he gives the bits and pieces. And then he says, well, I don't like when you assume. Well, paint the picture for us, Dan. Quit letting me paint the picture. It just blows my mind that they fired someone for what seems to be a pretty serious theft at City Hall. And there is no statement about it, no press release. They've hired a man to take on a position that was kind of once held by the deputy mayor, kind of once held originally by this man when he was a city full-time employee, and now he's going to be a contract employee. And he has the capability of making $260,000 a year. Listen, if Dan has some kind of plan in mind to stop him from making that much, if he's going to cap it, let us know. But no. Dan would much rather do it, and then people never find out about it. Or if people do, well, we can deal with it then. And that's just crazy. And now there's literally people that are questioning his integrity. For the first time, my grandpa says, like, listen, you're getting the story out. People are listening to you. People are following. But what's that going to do? What happens to Dan? What can be done? And I tell him nothing really can be done. The thing that we've got to do is we've got to wake people up so that they will start putting pressure on him too. Because listen, we've got two options with Dan. Three options. We can find out he's done something illegal, get him charged, get him convicted with a felony, and remove him that way. We can sit around with our thumbs up our asses until the next municipal election and vote him out. Or we can put enough pressure on him that he stops doing the stupid shit, that it stops becoming fun for him, that it stops being pleasurable to be the city of Muncie mayor doing things the way that he's doing them. First off, it's not a problem about, I don't have a problem with corporate people. I don't have a problem with that at all. What I have an issue with is if someone with a corporate mind has an issue with transparency. And I have to use that with Dan because he's came from that world, and Dan hasn't done anything in that world, in this world, that has shown us that transparency is a major concern of his. Matter of fact, everything he's done has been opposite of that. Now, I'm certain that you fat-fingered that or mistakenly messed that up, because to my knowledge, the only current president we have in the United States right now is Joe Biden, and the president-elect is Donald Trump. I know that Donald Trump has a friend called Elon Musk, who's a business owner, and I think that Elon Musk is doing something to help Trump, Doge or something like that. But I certainly didn't vote for Elon Musk, and I don't know anybody that did. But I don't have a problem with Elon Musk because he currently seems to be interested in transparency. If or when Elon is against it and wants to hide things, I will have a problem with that. I'm sure I'm not going to like every single thing that Trump or Musk do, because I am intelligent enough to know that I am not a sycophant for anybody, specifically Trump or Musk. And there are going to be things that they do that I like and I don't like. And just like Dan Ridenour, there's things that he does that I agree with. They're just so few and far between, you don't hear about them much. But I still, there are things that Joe Biden's done that I've been okay with. Again, they're just very few and far between. To the extreme, there will be things that I don't like about Trump. There were things I didn't like about Trump the first time. There are a lot of things I didn't like about Trump, but it's like the good, in my opinion, does it outweigh the bad? Does it not? Whatever goes on there. It always comes back to the whole idea of like what I was saying with Rainwater over Braun or like a Holcomb or Jennifer or whatever. Right now in state government, I cannot stand Holcomb, and I'm getting like 5% of what I expect that we should be getting from Holcomb. So the idea is to vote for someone and support someone who's going to be able to give me, it would be stupid to vote for someone who's going to give me less than what I'm currently getting. So I would like somebody that can give me more. Now, everybody in the playing field might be able to give me more than what Holcomb's giving me. Maybe Jennifer McCormick could give me 9% of what I like. But there's a whole lot I don't. But it's still better than the 5% I'm getting from Holcomb. Maybe Braun has 11% of things that I like, but it's still 11. If there are things I dislike about Don, or I don't agree with Don on, but he can give me 35%, well, then hell, that sounds like a great deal. Or 50%, well, whatever. And same thing. I equate the same thing to politics or to local or to presidential or whatever. So if someone that comes along can give me more than what I feel like Dan is giving me, then I'm going to be okay with that person up until they don't. All these people are liars because they're politicians. They're all going to do what they want to get where they are and to make it good for them. Very, 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 very few and far between do you find someone who's saying, like, I am specifically here for the people. They are there, but it's just too small of a number, unfortunately, to, there's not any major people out here. Yeah, I'm aware Musk wasn't elected. You called him President Trump. Or President Musk. I said he wasn't elected. I was like, he's just a friend. I think I said he was a friend of the president. I assume he's not been appointed. I don't think that you have to specifically appoint like friends. Your friends must all go through the Senate confirmation now. That would be amazing. So what the craziest thing to me is the fact, though, that Ridenour doesn't seem like, even now, I've seen more people over the last week question, like, what's happening to Ridenour? Why is all this going on? Why is this happening? Why is all of this stuff happening to Dan and he doesn't say anything about it? I want to show you guys all something. This is a list that I keep right here. This is my list of city. This is the names of city department heads, appointments, various other appointed positions that Dan Ridenour has picked since January 1st of 2020, when he first became mayor of Muncie. And any time one of his appointments leaves of their own accord, is asked to leave, is fired, for whatever reason, they are no longer in that appointment, or they move to another thing, their name goes on here. When they're appointed, they're out here in the world, and then when someone is appointed and they then leave, their name goes on this. And, the fact that it's to like 27 or 28 people in 5 years is really insane. And what's really crazy about this is the first 18 or 19, the first 17 of these people all had moved on within the first year and a half or 2 years. For Ridenour to lose that many people, it lets you know that something is not right. The chemistry is not right. The morale is not good. That there are some serious issues with how things are being ran, with how things are being managed. And I would take a look at this and think, oh shit, what am I doing? But why does Dan not care? It's like Dan's like, it's just another day, it's no big deal. Why does he not care that his reputation is shit as a manager, as a boss? It's crazy to me. I want to ask you guys something. For those of you that are from the city of Muncie, I want to ask you something. Let me see. All right here. I want you all to tell me who someone is. Okay, we're almost there. Oh yeah, right here. I want you all to tell me who this is. Okay, sorry. I was taking me a minute to get the Facebook to play along. Does anybody know who this woman is? That's hilarious. Does anybody know who she is? Like, this is a real... I was going to say maybe Jackie Fisher. Jackie, you out there? You know who this is? Anybody know who this is? Everyone should know who this is. She was employed. She was a very important job. I mean, she was... Sparks, no. If maybe Sparks was ran over. This was a very important position within the city of Muncie. The founder of Munis. No, this lady worked for Dan, man. Come on. You guys know her. She was one of the most important. It's one of the most, I mean, listen, like when you think about mayoral appointments, like police chief, fire chief, like big time appointments, she was a big time appointment. None of you remember the controller of the city of Muncie? You know, like Craig, she's the controller for the city of Muncie. She was the controller for the city of Muncie. She was the controller in between Craig Wright and the fish guy. That looked like it got burnt, kind of. But between Trent Conway and
she was the controller for what, like 3 days?
I honestly don't remember that. Yeah, and that's a face you'd remember, right? I think she was the controller for like they released it like on a Sunday night, And I think by Monday morning, she was no longer the controller. This was kind of a joke. Look, this lady was like the controller for as long as that prime minister was the prime minister right before the Queen died. Remember? Like, it was very quick. But, like, why? Like, tell me how something like that happens. Look at this. Look at this. Dan does not care. He does not give a shit about his reputation. He does not care how things make him look. And I mean, like, cool. That's a really good, like, we hope our children are like that, right? Like, don't you go out there and be who you are and be as weird as you want to be and live the life you want to be. Let that freak flag fly and don't care about what anybody thinks about you. But don't run for elected office, because that's all the worst advice for someone running for elected office. Winston Churchill. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. How weird this is. Hold on, let me pull this down for a second. Here we go. You won't be able to read it, but I'll read it to you. Controller's office selects new... Oh, no, sorry. My bad. It wasn't the controller. It was the deputy controller. Wait a minute. I'm now even confused. Okay, no, sorry. I'm right. So she was the deputy controller. Then she moved into the position of being controller. And then they were moving her so fast, they moved her out the door. So this is what happened was Trent Conway and Craig. So this was so weird. Controller's office selects new deputy controller. Muncie controller Trent Conway and Craig Wright have selected a new deputy controller, Tanya Hyatt, who's accepted the position to serve in the new deputy controller position. I want to welcome Tanya Hyatt to the controller's office. We are excited and looking forward, and she will bring to the city of Muncie. Wright was hired to replace Trent Conway. Okay. So that's right. Tanya was hired to replace Trent because Trent was the controller. Then Craig Wright came in, and then they switched spots. But then she was going to replace the controller, but then Craig got moved up, and she then became the deputy controller. And then I think before she even set her ass in the seat, they got rid of her and brought in who'd they bring in next? Oh, Wegley. Dude, like Jackie. Good evening, Brenda. Yeah, dude, like what is this? This is so crazy. Do any of you remember when Dan ran for office and literally told us this? Now listen, I know it's number 6 on the list, but he did tell us, I promise to put the best people in place. He made those he made that was an actual promise he made us. And then for his very first appointment, he names Dave Smith street department superintendent. Dave Smith, street department superintendent. A man who had been a cop for 30 years. Knew nothing about the street superintendent position. Knew nothing about getting out and plowing the roads when it's snowy or pitching and patching roads in 90-degree weather in the heat. And then like a day after he named him as the street superintendent, he's like, whoa, sorry, my mistake. I mean, he's the, well, we don't know what he is, but we'll put him somewhere really good soon. That doesn't sound promising. Then they name him as the Muncie edit director, the edit director, the Muncie redevelopment commission person. Then Dave Miller is the fire chief, and Al Williams as the deputy. Trent Conway as the controller. Tanya Hyatt as the controller, then the deputy controller. Then Craig Wright. Then Jace Crehan, Sandra Parks, Jace Crehan as communications director. Sandra Parks, communications director. Corey Olenkamp, communications director. Tony Sandelben, communications director. Nancy Larson's HR director. Brian Stevens Hotop, city engineer. Micah Wilson, mayor's assistant. Ethan Browning, animal shelter. Rachel Clark, MFD EMS chief. Robert Mead, EMS Muncie Fire Department chief. Ashley Wright, Prairie Creek. I mean, just on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Katie Wolf. Adam Leach quit, but he's still working there. Jerry Wise, Board of Works. Micah Wilson, HR director. Michelle Owens, communications director. And on and on and on and on. And then now George Foley. But the hits that he takes as being mayor, I mean, look, what's going on with the South Side? I see somebody post on a Muncie or Delaware County group daily. What's going on with the Southway Plaza? What's going on with the roads in the city? What's going on with all these houses that we're building? Who's coming to live in these houses? Someone's saying, like, wait a minute, what is Dan doing with this contract? And then for real, I've literally legitimately got people like Troy Tackett messaging me, commenting on social media about how I'm wrong. I'm wrong because I'm pointing at, like, do you have anybody telling you that this contract is illegal? What do you mean illegal? Like, the contract didn't deal drugs. The contract didn't murder somebody. It's not a child molesting contract. It's just a contract that's not binding. That would be funny, Stumblefoot. You mean like the attorneys? Well, that would be funny. That would be right if they were actually using them to make the attorneys and to look through, to make the contracts and to look through these. That's not what's happening here with the last couple. The contract with Leach, I don't think, was done through the attorneys. The contract with Dustin Clark, there's no way that went through the attorneys. Now, I have inside information from my sources. It did not go through the attorney. I know it didn't go through the attorneys. I also know that Dan, listen to me. You know the times that I've come on here and been like, listen, we've caught Dan in a lie. He's lied to me. He's lied to you. He's lied to us. And some people might be like, well, Bilbrey's just being that's hyperbole. That's, Bilbrey's not speaking truthfully. No, listen, that is a very serious accusation to make about somebody. To call someone a liar is a serious accusation to make about somebody. So when I say that I've caught Dan in a lie and that he's lied, I'm never playing around with that. I mean that. If I call Dan a liar, it's because he's lied. Well, all of you people that have said that, when you look at this contract and it says October 30th, and Dan signs it October 30th, and I tell you, hey, wait a minute, he did not sign that on October 30th. He's lying. And you say to me, where's your proof? And I say, you ask the mayor. Tell the mayor I'm lying about him. Text the mayor, Troy. You've got his phone number, right? Or email him. You've got his email, right? Email him and tell him that Kristopher Bilbrey is being a bastard and he's lying about you again. And when he says, oh, what's he saying? Or when he's like, oh, I don't care what Bilbrey says. Say, well, yeah, he's lying because he's saying that you backdated that contract. Then you let me know what he says. You let me know what he says. Because I'm telling you, he will not say that he signed that on October 30th. He will not say that he did. He will say that he'll say that it's backdated. And the moment that he says it's backdated, or the moment I'm wrong and he says, yeah, I signed it on October 30th, then he can never be trusted on anything ever again. If he's willing to lie on that, a lie about that, and he is, you want me to tell you how I know he's willing to lie? Because I have the contract. That's a man who does not give a damn about his reputation. So for all you people out there being like, I just don't get what, he does not care. Because what you think about him does not matter. He's got his sycophants around him. Let me tell you, one of them's, he's given $260,000 a year to. Now I am so excited because Kate brought to my attention at the end of last show that we should be getting the first claim or a claim coming in real soon, and it should be a good one because generally around the first of the year, right after Christmas or right a little bit before, for the last 3 years, Dustin has turned in a really big claim, really good claim, and been paid. Always right somewhere around the 20th of December. And I wasn't going to say anything about that because you're thinking well, what if they change something? But I was told by somebody last week he's already turned claims in, and they are cutting a check for him. I can't wait to see how much he makes. I can't wait to see. Kate was right. I wasn't going to say anything. I just wanted to see. But then I actually got confirmation that, yeah, they've already got the claims. It's so funny that Kate was right. Always right around Christmas, he gets this great big check. Every year. Yeah, we are waiting for the first draft of the contract. Yes, we are waiting on that. We're waiting on a lot of questions from Dan. Dan's still not really answered any questions. He sent me the contract, but he's not answered any of my specific questions. So, we're going to have to see what goes on with that. But I think it's crazy. I think Dan is out there. He's nuts. Because just to not give a damn one way or another is crazy. It's It's cold to me. Nuts. I have thick skin, and I don't care about like the Troy Tackett's and the people like that. People I care about. Like I value what you guys think. I value what my friends think. If I disappoint someone in my family, if I disappoint someone close to me, I care about that. And I care. I'm a very sensitive person. Political people, you can't cut me, not one bit. But to the people that are in my life I care about, I'm very sensitive. And whatever. So I think it's wild to just not care like Dan does. To be the way he is weird. And that's why we need people like J.D. Prescott and the people at state government out here making laws to protect these worthless politicians that ain't nobody give a damn about because they all lie to us and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's funny. Well, just hold on. Just keep that thought in your pocket because we may or may not be thinking the same thought. There, Alva. Good thinking there. Alva. I want to show you guys something. Yeah, because there's a lot of people. Yeah, I know, right? There's a lot of people. What are you saying? No way about, Alva? What's the name? Let me find this. Hold on. There are lots of people, and listen, they're on all sides of this thing, man. There are people on the Republican side of things. There are people on the Democrat side of things who are asking questions. This Aaron Shreves Craig, yeah, right, wrote this. In the roundabout way that my brain works, government accountability. Who accounts for government activity? Where are the checks and balances, especially at the local level? We as citizens are constantly called on attending meetings and watching government goings on. Hold them accountable, but why? How? I watch, I see the worst of things. I see constant broken promises. I see tightrope walking on what's legal and illegal. I see the politicking. Is voting every so often the only legal thing that we can do for change? Unless we have the monies to hire legal counsel on our own, we need a real and direct way to hold our government accountable. I agree with that. Absolutely, I agree. And getting involved, getting informed, going to meetings, protesting, speaking out, and pushing back is the only way to hold them accountable. Push back, hold them accountable, run for office, support your friends running for office, and vote is what we have. But for the people who say, well, wait a minute, just voting every so often? No, we can go to meetings. We can make it uncomfortable for them. We can make it uncomfortable for them. Beach Talk Radio. It's this guy down in Florida that we watch. I'm friends with him. I had him on Perception is Reality long ago, and he does very similar to what we do. He keeps his government accountable, yada, yada, yada. Well, they are right there right now dealing with this massive ordeal going on in their government, because back in September of 2022, a Hurricane Ian, went through and wiped Fort Myers Beach off the map, changed it forever. And now the citizens are fighting against their elected officials, who the citizens are wanting to have their homes built back. And the town council's more worried about development and seeing dollar signs rolling in. And so whatever. So the citizens right now are fighting this one place that's wanting to build a 17-story structure in the location where the footprint had a building. The old building was 3 stories. And they're not just wanting to build like a little building. They're wanting to build a building that is like shaped like an L. And it's going to block this whole section, this whole community. And what you're seeing on the screen right here is the picture of a citizen that did a demonstration of like what, a house that's 2 stories tall here, is going to like look at like in comparison, what's happening is the elected officials have all been, there's 5 of them. And so like 3 of them have all been sucked in by the developers. And so they don't give a shit about the citizens anymore. And it's really sad what they've got going on down there. They had a meeting the other day. I'm trying to get to it. Here's the elected officials. They had a meeting the other day, and it lasted for 8 hours.
To compel you to deny this project. For the record, the LPA did deny the project. Jim, you know that I love you dearly as a friend, but gosh darn it, I wish you were as concerned about my neighborhood as you are about the Art Association. I sit in my backyard every day playing with my dog, and I just imagine not just one 17-story building, but all of those buildings that will create an absolute wall in our neighborhood. This project is not consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. It just isn't.
She was a former, I think she was the mayor at one point. She was amazing. Here's let's listen to this guy.
Your legacy on Fort Myers. If Hurricane Ian was my Waterloo, if you approve this will be your Waterloo, and your legacy on Fort Myers Beach will be that you began the process that encouraged all this massive development. If Hurricane Ian,
that's good. That's good. I like that they are stripping these down and making bite-size comments. Yeah. So look at this. This was an 8-hour-long meeting they had.
Between the lines.
I love it.
If there are areas,
and you know what? All freaking day long, these people were here. And look, some of them are old. Yeah, they're old. They're retired. Some of them are young. There's all kinds of people here. And you know what? It's amazing to me because the city hall down there was just like any other building. It was washed into the sea. So where they meet is in a series of trailers, like construction trailers that are all side by side attached together. So they've got people in other rooms that are listening by way of like video and whatever, and they got to walk in here. It's amazing to see, but people are mad as hell, and they are not letting go. This has been going on since September of 2020. I mean, obviously not the day after the hurricane, but it's going to be 2025. This has been going on for years, and these people are not giving up. This is a fight. It's a fight between their government and the people. It's a way of life. People are like, "Oh, I've got life. I can't bother with getting involved with politics." Let me tell you, let one natural disaster happen in Muncie, and then let Muncie completely say F you, citizens of Muncie, and then you bet your ass your way of life will be fighting those people so you're not screwed over. There but for the grace of God go I. Thank God we didn't have I hate that the tornado hit Winchester. I'm glad it wasn't Muncie. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that it was Winchester. Wish it wasn't. If it wouldn't have been Winchester, it would have been Greenville. It's always going to be somewhere. One of those times it's going to be our backyard, and then people are going to then in that disaster, people's going to have to start getting involved. It's always better to get involved this side of those things, so you know what you're doing, and we're all up there. That's the whole thing. And let me tell you what happens, and we're going to end on this. Let me show you what happens if we don't get involved. If we don't get involved and we let them continue having the power, this is what happens. This is what happens. And this scares the ever-living hell out of me. This is a scary, scary, scary situation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I just want you guys to listen to this for a second. Let me get this lady's face off the screen. Let me get this commercial done playing here. Okay, right here. Yeah, good. Okay, here we go. Listen to this.
Hello, everybody. This is Craig Henry, political prisoner reporting from the Vermilion County Jail in Indiana.
Now, this is Craig Henry. Everybody knows he's a First Amendment auditor here in the state of Indiana.
Hello, everybody. This is Craig Henry, political prisoner reporting from the Vermilion County Jail in Indiana. I have been persecuted for the charge of stalking and harassment, both of which I did not commit. They say that I stalked and harassed employees of the city of Clinton, Indiana, by going into public buildings, asking questions, recording my interactions, and publishing those to YouTube along with public phone numbers. What I'm about to read to you is my statement that I made in the courtroom right before I was sentenced, and then I'm going to get into what I was sentenced to. This is my statement. This whole ordeal is a clear indicator of the state of government in this once great country. George Orwell would surely blush if he saw how accurate his predictions for the future were. The actions I was persecuted for are as follows: entering public buildings and places, asking questions of government employees and officials, making crude statements on occasion, recording my experiences, and occasionally posting these recordings to the internet with the phone numbers for the public offices I visited. I did all of the above with a cheery, non-threatening demeanor and never once communicated a threat to anybody. Let it be noted that the individuals I recorded in public had no reasonable expectation of privacy. This is according to Katz versus United States, 389 U.S. at 351. Quote, "What a person person knowingly exposes to the public is not subject to a Fourth Amendment protection, unquote. Every time I uploaded a person's likeness to the internet, that person had knowingly exposed themselves to the public. Likewise, with any phone number I published previously exposed to the public by the very same people who initiated this ordeal. It is clear that under the precedent set by Katz, I violated nobody's privacy rights. The charges brought against me in this ordeal imply that I took actions that terrorized or otherwise threatened people. At no time did I issue a threat. At no time did I issue a directive to any other person to issue a threat. And at no time did I work with another individual to produce a threat against anybody else. Indeed, this point was conceded by all witnesses called against me and asked about it, the point that I never issued a threat. My peaceful actions have been exactly that, peaceful in nature. In stark contrast, the actions taken against me have been violent, aggressive, and have consisted of threat after threat, all of which have been carried out against me. These actions include apprehending me against my will on 4 separate occasions, holding me for ransom on 2 of those occasions, threats of further captivity if I did not urinate in front of people or stay away from public buildings, which I helped pay for. These threats materialized in me being captured against my will again. I referenced George Orwell earlier. It is at the fact that the government's coercive and violent acts are considered justice, yet my peaceful actions and use of words are considered a crime that he would surely blush. I have not provoked or reciprocated the government's employment of these threats or violent actions. I will not come in here and ask for mercy. I will not act as though my peaceful actions have warranted such a violent response. I sincerely hope that those operating in a public capacity here today do not operate under the delusion that the actions they have taken up to this point or the actions they will take hereafter were provoked or warranted by my peaceful actions. The responsibility for their actions does not fall at my feet. The responsibility will be, and always has been, their own. I expect to be treated as every other person who is perceived as an opponent of the government has been treated. I expect the government to do their worst. I will end this statement by expounding on its beginning. With regards to the state of the government in this country, the government has shown their willingness to employ violence and coercion against me for acting in a peaceful manner. The standard with which we judge people's actions does not differ simply by virtue of those people working for the government. This was proven by the trials in Nuremberg in the early 1950s. Judging the actions of the government actors in this ordeal, the actions of employing these violent measures against myself, a reasonable person can only conclude that those people operate without regards for ethics, morals, or an objective standard of justice. It is clear they believe not in the principle of all men being created equal. For if any other man, not in the employ of the government, acted as they have throughout this ordeal, that man would be viewed as he rightly should be, a thug, willing to employ any violent means to achieve his desired end. This is the current state of our government, a group of men willing to employ violent means against peaceful individuals to achieve whatever ends they desire. God bless you all. This concludes my statement.
Okay, now I want to tell everybody, please understand. Well, hold on, we're not done yet. No, hold on. There's. I'm sorry. I want you guys to hear this. Hold on, almost there. Here we are.
God bless you all. This concludes my statement. After I read that off, the prosecutor, Bruce Ackerman, made arguments as to why I should not be sentenced to a term of probation after being found guilty of these crimes. He indicated that he thought I didn't live in reality by acknowledging that I had been found guilty after a trial, which, of course, I acknowledge I've been found guilty after a trial. And that's why I mentioned George Orwell in my statement, but I'm sure he hasn't read that, or read George Orwell for that matter. But after that, my attorney made arguments as to why I shouldn't be sentenced to the max. As a matter of fact, she thought I should be sentenced to, if anything, the minimum, as we were going to appeal it. to 548 days in the Indiana Department of Corrections, which is the prison system here in Indiana. That term began when I first was incarcerated, and I've got 79 days of credit time. Ultimately, if all goes well, I should be out in 6 months, because on a level 6 felony, you get 2 days credit for every 1 day served. So essentially, I'll do half of that time. In the meantime, we are still trying to get an appeal going, and I am trying to secure the services of a private appellate attorney, which in Indiana is very hard to come by. We're not a very big state or a very well-populated state, and therefore the amount of appeals that happen every year are quite slim compared to a state like Texas or a state like California. So it is a little bit more difficult for an attorney to make a profession of solely appellate matters, but I am trying to find one right now. With your help, I'll be able to secure them. The donation links for that fund will be in the description below. I believe we have a GoFundMe going on. I also have PayPal and Cash App for people who don't like GoFundMe. I know that after what they did to the Canadian truckers, there's a lot of people that don't like GoFundMe, and for good reason. But with that being said, everybody, I appreciate your support. I appreciate all the donations we got since the pre-sentencing update that we put out yesterday, or perhaps 2 days ago by the time this video gets out to you. But, yeah, you know, at court, we have the entire city of Clinton, the whole of the employees of the city of Clinton. They showed up to watch me get sentenced. And I don't know what they expected to see after I delivered my statement. They all wouldn't look at me in the eyes. But God bless them. I mean, I think they know not what they do. I just think that they've been brainwashed, and that it's really, really a sad thing what they're doing to me, even though I've not reciprocated in any way whatsoever. With that being said, I am saying goodbye to my family for the next 6 months or 6.5 months. That includes my immediate family as well as the family I have created for myself, me and Erica have created. And I believe that you have heard a short message from her, or you will. But with that being said, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for paying attention to this ordeal. It is an awful ordeal, and it shows exactly what the state of the government is in our country. It's evil, it's violent, it's coercive, it doesn't need provoked, or if it does get provoked, it could be provoked by the slightest of activity that is in no way harmful to anybody or anybody's property. So with that being said, I appreciate all your support. Thank you to Tyler for getting this edited.
Okay, so listen, for those of you that might not know what's going on or what the deal is, that's the voice of Craig Henry. I've had him on the program before. We've watched other of his other content. He is what you would call a First Amendment auditor. Now, he is he is different. So listen, oh God, I hate the whole First Amendment auditor thing because it's not all black and white to me. Everybody has a First Amendment right to do whatever. Listen, I have a strong disliking of a lot of what people call so-called quote unquote First Amendment auditors, because I don't believe they're actually out here for the right thing. I believe that it's a lot of people like, listen, I've said it before, I'm just going to be honest. I think it's a lot of dudes that are unemployed, living in their girlfriend's house, driving their girlfriend's car. Maybe they don't even have a driver's license. A lot of them used to be in the dope gang. You know, they used to sell dope. They were in the dope game, and they would have interactions with police. And you know, they were used to telling the police to F off or whatever. And then all of a sudden, there's a lot of them that quickly realized, wait a minute. You mean if I just start getting in trouble or going around and getting myself in police encounters and then calling them pigs and, telling them I have a First Amendment right, I can put that shit on YouTube and make money? And so all of a sudden, a bunch of people popped up as First Amendment auditors, and they weren't really First Amendment auditors. They were just doing it for the quote unquote clicks and views, trying to make a dime, easy dime, and whatever. And you can quickly tell the people who are studied and they're good and they know what they're doing, or the people that are just out here finding another way to cause trouble and making money. I've got no use in that. One of the First Amendment auditors that I respect a lot, he said that, long ago, he said, I'm going to quit using the term First Amendment auditor. He said, because it has some negative connotation to it. He said, I love the First Amendment. I back the First Amendment, always going to fight for the First Amendment. But he said, I am a journalist. He said, I consider myself a journalist. I do journalistic work. He said, there's more than he said, I write a blog, I do this, and he said, so please, he asked openly to his people, please quit calling me a First Amendment auditor. I always told Josh, because Josh always went back and forth on whether or not he was a First Amendment auditor or not. I said, all these people ought to call themselves a constitutional auditor. There's more than just the First Amendment going on here, but whatever. There are a lot of good people that do it justice and do it very well. And Henry is one of those people, I think, that does a good job. Now, there are people that like him and people that don't like him. Some people like his attitude, whatever. Listen, that's fine. You don't have to like him. I don't like everything that he's done. And he said things that I wouldn't have said or done. But we're all different. I get it. The bottom line, he doesn't deserve to be in prison for a day or 6 months, 584 days or whatever, because he's went into a building. I've watched the videos. Of people that have done way worse than what Craig has done, and they're not in prison. Now, I've watched every one of those videos of Craig that he's currently in trouble for. And I'm going to tell you, Craig did nothing. Craig did not break the law. Craig was not doing anything illegal. Craig did not knowingly or intentionally cause any of the crimes that occur that they charged him with. They did not like that Craig was coming in there and asking questions. He was emailing them. He was going there to talk to them, and he had a camera in his hand. And they charged him with stalking and harassment because of that. Well, I've done every single thing that he's done, and I haven't been charged or for that. Now, some ways it's because of the way that we do things. I have no problem if I need to get loud and argumentative. I have no problem to curse if I need to. I try not to if I most possibly can help it. I try to be respectful and understand the mixed company I'm in and yada, yada, yada. But, I think that has somewhat to do with it. But even Craig has come a long way. Craig has actually started out kind of, just being mouthy, but he really learned a lot. And Craig has really kind of grown up. And I truly believe in his heart of hearts that he is out here for a good reason. I really do. I really do. And I am so sick for Craig and his family. And it's scary. It's scary. How much longer is it going to be before, they're not okay with me emailing the mayor once a day? How long is it going to be until I go into a meeting because Catherine invites me to go over to Madison County and they charge Catherine and I with stalking or harassment in Madison County? You know what I mean? If we don't, is there not any of that downstairs? Are you for real?
Tell her to come back and at least say hello. How rude.
Let me show you what she came in here to get. She came in here to get Christmas cookies. Some of this, I don't know what it's called. That's the first real time I've ate on TV. I normally don't do anything like that. I'll drink, but that's as far as to get. It's a little bit different than the sovereign citizen thing, and that thing gets on my nerves a little bit. I don't know. To me, there's got to be a reason that you're doing your thing. Like, if somebody who's just been living life just wakes up tomorrow and is like, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to leave my home city and I'm going to drive to Peoria, Illinois, just so I can get pulled over to call the pig, so I can get pulled over to call the pigs cops, then, I question that. But when I'm going up and getting documents at City Hall and they're hassling me at the, about me going to the second floor, the third floor, they're interfering with my job. This is my job. And, someone brought up the school thing, and I'm going to look into the school deal. There's a gentleman out there that I need to get with and see what's going on. There's a really crazy ordeal currently happening at the Wapahani Libertary School. I don't know which exactly. Selma school situation. And amazingly, it involves Aaron Black. For all of you that used to follow when we were doing all that stuff in Union City, and Aaron Black was the superintendent. Aaron Black, I don't know if he lost his job or he left or, some kind of chaos went on, and he came over to Wapahani and they hired him Wapahani, and he's been here for like just a short bit. He's already causing trouble over here. So I got to get involved with that guy. But my whole thing is, if we don't stay active and stay involved, then when somebody finally does speak up, it scares the living hell out of them. And they're like, whoa, we got to get rid of this. And they do something crazy like that, and they lock that person up. And that's shit that we just cannot tolerate. What they're doing to him down there is an absolute travesty. Something needs to be done about that. I don't know what's done. I think that's crazy. It is a very dangerous precedent that was set with that. As Kate has said there, that's very, very, very true. I don't know. That's very scary. And people like JD Prescott love that. People like Dan Ridenour, people like Bob McCoy love that. They think that's that's wonderful, because they shouldn't have to answer to us peons. They have it exactly backwards. They are the peons that should have to answer to us, their bosses. I don't know. It's very, very scary. And all of this goes together. But, it's to me, at the end of the day, when all of this shit is hitting the fan for Dan, and he's just out here living like he doesn't care, that's spooky. It's really weird. And it's something that should concern us, and we're stuck with him. I don't know if he plans to run for a third term or not. Everybody says, some people say he's not going to, some people say he's going to. He's always said he wasn't going to, but I don't know. But I'm not just satisfied with saying, well, we'll be done with him in 3 years. We just got to take it. No, I think if we put enough pressure on him, look, I know it for a fact, but it's going to take people. So I'm going to have to just continue bitching until eventually enough people come up, or we're done with him. One of the two things, because I am not okay with what he is doing, and I know that people are not okay with what he's doing, but it's going to take action. It's going to take people getting involved, and it is what it is. So, all right, folks, that is going to do it for this episode. Where are all the rights groups that get taxpayer money? That's interesting. Yeah, I need to reach out to his people and find out, because this just happened to Henry like last week. So I'm going to try to find out like what's going on there. That's because it's just a horrible situation. All right, that's going to do it for us. I have a lot of questions that I'm in the process of putting together in an email for the mayor, trying to figure out what's going on with the contract. We still have some questions there, trying to get Adam Leach's contract, and still finding out what's going on, like I said, with Dustin, and seeing when they're going to make a statement about Foley. There is an Anderson City public, kind of like the Merit Commission, the police board, that's going to have their last and final hearing tomorrow about that officer Sinesy, or whatever his name is. So that's there. Hopefully we'll get an answer there, and they'll be done with him tomorrow. Thank God. That'll be a good thing. And then we obviously have Christmas this week. And then, very important, Monday, a week from tomorrow, Monday, December 30th, there is a special Delaware County Commissioners meeting that is being called. And one of the days this week, we're going to talk about this and talk about everything that's going on. And what it has to do with is that deal that Matt Kantz was talking to Shannon Henry about. It's that deal with the ARP interest money. And this is going to be a big showdown. So that's going to be absolutely amazing. I'll keep you guys posted. We'll be there. We'll live stream it. It's going to be wild. And I have a lot of thoughts on that. So we'll be talking about that. Number one, I want to say the deal. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate it. Thank you. Carrie McFadden. Tomorrow in Anderson, Anderson City Hall, same place as last time. The Anderson City Hall, City Council chambers, and the time is 4 p.m. 4 p.m. By the way, tomorrow, 4 p.m., City of Anderson Safety Board meets to discuss the recommendation that the accused child molester be terminated from the Anderson City Police Department. 4 p.m., City Council chambers in Anderson City Building. Be there, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. The other thing was... Stumblefoot, I see that. No problem. Then the Madison County, or the Delaware County meeting, is at 9 a.m. on the 30th, which of course we'll be there. This week, plans for this week. Tonight's Sunday. We'll be live tomorrow. That is Monday, the 23rd. We will be live. And then the 24th, which is Christmas Eve, we will not do a show Christmas Eve. I might pop on long enough to just say Merry Christmas or put out a Christmas message like I do every year. Maybe do something on TikTok or whatever. But we'll be off 24th. We'll be off 25th. Okay, so no show Tuesday, no show Wednesday. Are you good for Thursday? You have anything going on Thursday? Kate? Guess she's just eating and not listening. Can you see me? Hello, hello? Hello? She can't hear me. Hey, are you good? I was talking. No show. We're going to be on tomorrow. No show Tuesday. No show Wednesday. Are you good for Thursday? Okay, so we'll do a show Thursday. Muncie Board of Works is this Thursday. Absolutely. Nothing on McGalliard East. Carrie, they already approved to fire him, but they had to give him notice to show up. Tomorrow, they're going to take the final vote. That's what it is. So they have to do it in two things, and they have to give him notice. I don't believe he'll be there. I don't believe he'll even have an attorney there. So that's that. That's fine. No big deal. So that's that. All right, folks, you guys have a good evening. God bless each and every one of you. Take care. Have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good start to the day tomorrow. And we will see you back here tomorrow night. Please hit the like on your way out, and we'll go from there. Take care. God bless. Good night. Goodbye.